Right, we're over with Kev Harper. Hey Kev, you alright?
Hello.
And we're doing the course that Kev trawled around the country to different places regarding the safeguarding and child protection stuff.
Yeah.
The numbers weren't great.
No.
Would you like to just expand on that a little bit, Kev?
Yeah.
Because you did a lot of hard work on it, mate.
Yeah. The background for this has been took me a long time to do. It was about 2 years ago. Things were happening. Obviously, my background in education for 15 years. I was an Ofsted rated outstanding PE teacher. Worked in schools. I was a line manager. Worked with loads of kids, and my background is very much in education. Alongside that, and in fact all my life, I've been doing Thai boxing alongside that. So when I went into education and sort of picking up all the things that you should be doing and the way that you should be doing about risk assessments and behaving and operating in a very clear and professional way. And then I sort of stepped back at one point a while ago and looked at my sport and looked at the people involved in the sport and what was going on. And I was just very concerned about things, that the way that they were happening. And then I went to the governing body, or the so-called governing body, a long time ago, and to voice my concerns about the things which I'm going to talk about very shortly. And they weren't really interested in tackling these things. And I said about safeguarding kids being the number one priority. The governing body at the time, or the person in charge of the governing body at the time, said that they were more involved in drugs in sport, because drugs in sport was more important to them than safeguarding kids. And then since then, there's been a string of abuse cases which have come to light, and a string of things which could have been quashed for me, could have been quashed ages ago. I'm talking about 2009 when I was having these conversations with people, and all the things that I'll see come later on after that. So that's where it came in really, and it's been sat on me. I mean, I've ended up going around the country offering these courses free on my background in conjunction with the BKC. So I've been delivering it, I've compiled it, and give all the resources out for free, paid for it all myself, because I firmly believe that it is the number one thing that we need to do to keep our sport safe.
It's fair to say, Kev, the take-up wasn't great, was it?
No. I mean, the idea was I started off in the northwest to do different events, and then I did one in the northeast, one over. I wanted to do one in the Birmingham, one in the southwest, one in London, to all the different geographical locations, one up in Scotland. And yet, when it came to actually signing up, bear in mind it's free, bearing in mind it won't cost you anything, it never would. And the whole point of me doing this was not for me to say, you need to be doing this, you're doing this wrong. It's about keeping everybody safe, and I still think there's a big sort of way to go in relation to keeping safe. And safeguarding is very much the buzzword in Muay Thai at the moment. But about 2 years ago, I just thought, do you know what? I've had enough of this. If I don't do something about this now, I'm going to feel very uncomfortable about myself moving forward, because I know that things are wrong and it can be easily changed. If someone was to say, you need to do this, you need to do this, you need to do this, and I'm not saying I'm the person to do that, not in any stretch of the imagination, because, I'm nobody.
To be fair, mate, the instructors should be taking it on themselves.
Well, the idea is to give people who don't know what they're doing or don't know what they should have in place, because there's no guidelines out there how to run a gym or what you should have in place to run a gym. And one of the things that I'll talk about when people are setting up clubs is anybody can set up a club. You train for 2 weeks in Thailand and you can set your own gym up. There's nothing in place. There's no barriers to stop people entering the martial arts. And one of the things that I will say as well is that if I was a predator, if I was a paedophile, I would set a Thai boxing club up, because nobody cares, and there's that much political infighting, and it's one of the reasons why people have been successful in abusing kids in Muay Thai, is because it's all done under cloak and dagger, and there's things that are happening where there are groups within groups, and because it's not all done on one playing field, and there's not a set standard, and because there's not a barrier for entry, nobody has to justify themselves that I'm a coach, I've got this experience, these are my qualifications, this is my first aid certificate, like there are in other sports, that people are just entering the sport and you don't know what the motivations are. Do you know what I mean? And that was really my concern a while ago. 2 years ago, I launched it all. I said, this is what I'm going to do. And the public response was phenomenal. Yet, 6 months down the line, when it came to booking the events in and doing them all and travelling all over the place and doing them for free, and nobody was turning up.
And why do you think that is, Kev? Can people just not be bothered?
Do
they want to
I don't think. I think everybody likes the idea of having the sport safe, but nobody wants to do the groundwork to actually make it the case. And we have a thing in Thai boxing and in Muay Thai that, yeah, but I know. You see it with when yeah, but I told him to do this, and yeah, I told him to do that, and yeah, I know this and I know that, and it takes a big ego to say, well, actually, I'm not sure. I'm not sure about what I need to do. I'm not sure what the legal frameworks are. And do you know what? I didn't. And there was things that I thought were in case that were sort of law, but they're not. They've changed and they've moved on. And they've moved on and moved on and moved on. So I've had to update things in the past to make my business safe. And all business owners, all gym owners, should be following this to make sure that their business is safe, and the children and the vulnerable adults and the adults in their business are all safe as well. Well,
it didn't work taking it to the gyms. The one thing why we're doing this and wasting our valuable time on a Friday, Ken, is because it will be out there. It will be on my site, your site,
yeah,
the magazine pages for junior Thai boxing. So the access to this, what you're going to report about your course, is there for everyone, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, and to be honest, it needs to be. But as I said, going right to give it to people direct and give them physically, put in their hand the resources that they need. And it cost me a fortune, and it took hours and hours and hours of time to go away and prepare it all and get it all done, and to go away and give that to everybody, and nobody would turn up. Oh, I'm too busy that day. Yeah, but the next week, everyone's going to the interclub circuit. Everybody's turning up. And, oh, I've got an interclub next week. Can you come and support me?
You can't miss the interclubs, mate. You can't
Well,
off that bottom of that.
no. And the number of people that have like 4, 5, 6, 7 interclubs a year is ridiculous. And, yeah, doing interclubs are really important, and I personally enjoy going to interclubs because it's a really good way of blooding sort of new people and people who've not been training for a while, and people who've had time out. It's a really good way to give them that really good experience. But when you're prioritising interclubs about the safety of your kids in your gym or the adults in your gym, then that's a problem. And this is the reason why we're doing this now, is because all the dates...
Going to that interclub, Kev, them problems... What we're going to talk about now,
they're all there.
They're all there.
They're all there.
So what we're going to do, Kev, we'll let you do a little bit of an introduction in a minute to the course. But as much as I like looking at you, your big face will go with Sidey Box in the corner, and then the slideshow will be the main crux. And you're going to talk us through that.
Yeah, no problem.
So if we go on to the course, mate, and
okay. So
give us a little bit.
First of all, as I've just said there previously, my background is education. 15 years involved in PE as a line manager, as a leader, telling people how to teach and making sure that they're teaching in the correct way. I've been a gym owner for the past 11 years, and overall I've been involved in Thai boxing for 30 years. I've been involved in Thai boxing since I was 14. I'm 44 now, and throughout my life, Thai boxing has been probably the most important thing in my life, even though work's had to come into part of that. But Thai boxing has been the thing that drove me. It was the thing that I wanted to do. It was the thing that that defined me. It still defines me now as a fighter when I used to compete, and now as a gym owner and putting fighters out there. And incredibly proud of putting the number of juniors and adult fighters out there with a good style. I'm highly respected in the sport. A lot of people know me, and that's my kind of background. I'd like to give at this point credit to Claire Heap, who worked for the BKC and did work for the WTKA at one point. Claire was the sort of if nobody's ever spoken to Claire Heap, I really recommend that you do so. Every time I would speak to Claire, I'd get a cold shiver that run down my spine about the things that she would say and the things that she would sort of indulge me in, and the things that she knows about in relation to safeguarding and child protection things. And also Claire was the real link point between the government at one point, the government and the working groups that were going through the BKC. And she's probably done more for UK Muay Thai than anybody I know. And the reason that we've still got UK Muay Thai functioning now, and we're talking December 2019, is because the work that Claire Heap has done to keep it safe. Because there was a point a couple of years ago, and 18 months ago in particular, where Thai boxing was this close, and I mean this close to being banned. All ring sports in general being banned, and Claire Heap is the person that's fought tooth and nail with politicians and working groups to make sure that Thai boxing is the sport that is continuing to be today. And even though she's not presenting today, and I'm doing this and presented the other ones, Claire's involvement in this is absolutely crucial. And it was probably speaking to Claire and that kind of fear that running through me and thinking, oh my God, yeah, I might have a gym to keep open, but nobody else will. Because nobody else is doing the things that, and even the things that I've had to put into place that I wasn't aware. So Claire needs huge respect and praise for driving this, not driving this, but sort of the conversations with me, and then I've taken this up on myself. And as I said, I'm nobody, and if you don't want to listen to me, fine, it's no problem. But Claire really does know what she's talking about, and I think everybody's got a duty of care to keep everything safe and to make sure that the clubs are being able to run correctly, and because of that we all need to be following this. Claire's a former safeguarding officer, 20 years experience in social care, a member of the safeguarding committee for NSPCC, and if anybody has the chance to speak to Claire, particularly at Pete's Junior shows, that I've probably not seen her for a while actually, I'm not sure if she still attends, but if you get the chance to go to Pete's Junior shows and you have 5 minutes, grab her and she will make you change. If you had any, at the end of this, if you had any sort of queries about why this, why that, what do we need to do this for, speak to Claire and she'll turn you white. She's a hugely influential person, and I'm very privileged to have worked alongside her for this period of time. Before we take a break, there's a couple of things that we need to be aware of. In October 2016, Tracy Crouch, who was the then Minister for Sport, wrote to all the national governing bodies for sport, asking them to make sure all the child protection policies were watertight. She wrote, and she tweeted as well, it's vital that our domestic sports bodies and organisations uphold the very high standards of governance and lead the world in this area. So they set it out there in 2016 that these changes were going to be coming, and that the governing bodies were going to have to be very, very strict in making sure that the child protection areas were in place. There's been then things since in 2017, things that then have kicked in, but it's a bit of a funny one that the BKC is currently going for governance of kickboxing. The UKMF is currently going for governance. Well, it does have a governance, but I'm not sure where its state of play is at the moment. But it's not been recognised, I think, by Sport England, is where the UKMF are at. And they wrote to make sure that to all the governing bodies that the policies and procedures need to be safe, because there are things coming. And in 2017, things started emerging where all governing bodies, not just in martial arts, but all governing bodies had to follow a particular framework to make sure that everybody was safe. I'd like to point out, in child protection terms, a child is up to 19. An adult is 18, but in child protection terms, a child is 19, while a vulnerable adult is under 25. Is 25 and under. So unless we are working with only 26 years and above, everything that I'm about to sort of bring forward is important to everybody. As officials, as coaches, as parents, as spectators, we all need to be making sure that our sport is safe. Again, going on to historical things, in October 2016, when Liam fought Pinker at the Yokkao event, the next night or early hours of the morning. Matt Kendall, who's the Telford Thai boxing coach, he committed suicide. He was the next day actually. He committed suicide after being arrested when police entered his hotel room and found him in bed with a child. So Liam fought Pinker, Liam fought Pinker on the Saturday night. Kendall was there at the Holiday Inn or one of the hotels close by. He checked in with a young girl who he said was Mr. and Mrs. Kendall. And then in the evening, the receptionist was highly suspicious that was not his wife, but was a young child. They alerted the police. Early hours of the morning, the police went into the room, and he was in bed with a child. After that, when he was released, he was going around with a gun by all accounts, threatening to kill everybody in the Telford area, and then he ended up taking his own life. Because he knew he was going to be facing prison, that he was a sex offender. In March 2017, 14-year-old Scott Marsden, and this is really where a lot of this came from, in 2017, in kickboxing and ring sports, when the Scott Marsden died, as a result of a full contact kickboxing bout in Leeds at 14 years of age, full contact, kicking and punching to the head, and afterwards he died. And also in March 2017, Jordan Coe dies making weight in a sweatsuit in Thailand. Jordan Coe was 17, 18 at the time, but considering the fact that he's a non-national living in a foreign country, he's by all means a vulnerable adult. And I don't think for a second that Jordan Coe would have died had he been Thai. If he was English, Farang, and you think about the word and the word what Farang means, and that it's a foreigner, and the connotations of that word in Thai, he wouldn't have died if he was Thai. Jordan Coe died because he was a young lad running on his own in a sweatsuit. He wasn't being supervised, no one was keeping an eye on him, in a very hot area, and he died at the side of a road, which is a crying shame. We then fast forward to November 2017. Peter Feely convicted of abduction and rape of a child. And in July 2018, Keith Nathan convicted of historical child abuse. Now, all of those areas are child protection issues. All of those areas could have been changed back in 2009, when the conversations that I had with certain people thought that it wasn't appropriate at that time, or wasn't an area even important. So it's a crying shame that those things happened, and hopefully now moving forward we can put a framework and policies in place to make sure that all kids are safe, all gyms are safe, and all businesses are safe. Because at the end of the day, as a business owner, I want to be a successful business, but I also want to make sure that I've got enough other people to trade with, that nobody else is being shut down, or nobody else is going through these things because there's abuse cases, or we all get tied with the same brush that Thai boxing and ring sports are full of paedophiles, which unfortunately there was a point where, certainly at the end of 2018, where there was a lot of, particularly after Pelly was saying, and there was a lot of things on social media, who's next, and I am absolutely certain that there was, I don't know if it's still continuing, that there was a historical child sex abuse ring involved in Muay Thai, involving certain key players. I'm quite convinced of that. I'm also aware of a CPS case. The CPS have been interviewing certain people to see if there are charges to be brought against a historical Thai boxing coach from circa 1992, 1993, from events of 92, 93. But obviously I'm not going to name that because it'll come out when the CPS make the decision if they're going to make that. But I'm 100% certain that there was a ring, that there was a group of people involved.
And the police were convinced there was a ring as well, Ken.
Yeah.
Most definitely. You know, they did a lot of digging, and they're convinced there was, and I still believe they're looking into it now. So that just basically puts together everything that you just said there. It's a bad state of affairs.
It's terrible, and the thing is, it's highly avoidable. And if things occur in the right way, then things like that shouldn't be happening at all. And moving forward, we'll all have a safer sport. But we'll come on to the next part. We'll have a drink. We'll come on to the next part in a moment regarding the child protection stuff.